had a great time spending some time listening to students and learning more about some of the career pathways that are underway here at Charlestown High School. It's always so inspiring to be with our young people who are ready to take on the world. And so we were with a class of mostly 10th grade, some 11th grade, who were wrapping up their year. They're in a early college and career pathway partnering with Bunker Hill Community College, and so they're a little bit on that academic calendar, and they're telling us about the entrepreneurship program that they've been part of as part of that curriculum, the internship experiences that they've been able to do as well, and it's just another credit to the great work happening in the Boston Public Schools, and we're so excited to keep adding to it and keep building on it, especially at the high school level.
The other thing that we, good morning, and the other thing that we were able to do was to walk with the newly appointed leader, Ajay Trivedi. We're so excited about Ajay and his leadership. He comes to us with many years of experience, both at BPS, but also at EDCO, and he really has a whole child approach to education. He's bringing to Charlestown High a vision of full inclusion, of making sure that as we build out early college and we build out career pathways, that it's doing it with all students in mind, including our special education, including our multilingual learners. And so we're proud that Ajay has joined us, and you can tell that the Charlestown High staff and students are very excited to have him and his leadership. I think what we saw was really inspiring in so many ways. To see early college starting to take root, to see students in their sophomore year really starting to learn about careers. There's a partnership with a nonprofit Build that takes place in that 10th and 11th grade, and as such, students are able to learn entrepreneurship, the principles of it, and these students have decided they want to go into business. And so as part of that, they're designing business plans, all the way to what their project will be, how they'll sell it, the market plan that they'll design, and then there's a competition. And so two of the students that were part of the program actually scored in the top 3 places. So it was just wonderful to see students engaged and to see applied learning. I think that's what we really want to get back to in Boston Public Schools is strong academics, so students have those skills for early college, but also marry that with an understanding of what it takes in career, how to be able to go out, to have the tangible skills, to be able to go in, whether it's start your own business or whether it is to join another business or health career, which is also possible here, technology. These will be the types of pathways that the mayor and I are committed to building throughout the city at our high schools. So it's just a wonderful morning.
Questions?
Mary, I was wondering about this report in the Globe, which shows Boston spends more per student than any of the large school systems in the country. Are people getting enough bang for the buck? Because the test scores probably aren't exactly where you want them, and do you think maybe the budget needs to be looked at?
Thank you for the question. So a few things. I think one is we can't really comment on how those figures were arrived. We believe, and we're in dialogue right now with the Globe on it, but we believe that they included some other things around pensions, things that we don't typically include as part of our per capita when we account for spending. It was also based on sort of the last 4 years. And I think, when we look at BPS, certainly when I've looked back at it, not having been here, but there were some deep investments that needed to be made that were here, such as nurses and social workers post-pandemic, librarians in our schools, really part of the quality guarantee. And so there were some much needed and long overdue investments that were made to bring our schools really current in the ways that they need to be. But certainly in the work that we're doing right now, looking at all aspects of BPS, we always want to be fiscally responsible in everything we do. And I think some of the changes that we will be making in inclusion for the district, in expanding native and bilingual education in the district, these will have cost savings advantage in the sense of transportation, opening up choice for families. They won't have to go across the city to be able to attend the program or the school that they want. And so some of these will have cost savings as it's such. But that said, I think I'm always proud to be in a city where our mayor and our city council and our school committee are always willing to give whatever it takes to be able to give our young people what they need. And we know the last 4 years have been very difficult, the last 2.5 with the pandemic and all the students have needed for recovery. So now that we're kind of coming through that, we'll do some evaluation of that to see. And the strong academic programming that we're building in every classroom with Tier 1 is a confidence that we're going to see things like test scores rise. Certainly the work we're doing at the high schools and the options for young people to graduate with early college and credit in ways that hasn't happened in our district before. These are all of the things that I think will add value to an incredible group of students.
I'll just echo that. We won't ever shy away from investing in what's most important for our city. And our young people, the school system is at the heart of everything that we are trying to do. We're in a time in our economy and recovery across the country where workforce issues and challenges filling roles and finding talent are at the top of mind for every organization. This is what is going to be the defining feature for cities moving forward. And we know that Boston is already home to the world's premier talent. Our young people right here in our communities, as we saw earlier today, have the skills, the hearts, the interest to dive right into contributing to our communities, and we're going to make every investment that they deserve. We also right now are in a bit of a building period for BPS. It has been a number of years of tremendous instability, not only because of the pandemic, but because of so many different transitions in staffing, in the political leadership, in district leadership, and so this is a period where step one was build the strongest possible all-star team we could find. I'm so grateful that the superintendent is part of that, agreed to come back to BPS and has built out her team, making some changes in the way that we are focusing on different issues to really get a hold of problems and challenges that have been affecting our district for in some cases decades, but we're always right underneath the surface, and it's going to take resources. It's going to take a bit of time to get at this, but we reached a landmark agreement with our educators for a major transformation of how we think about inclusion and students with disabilities, special education. That is going to bear fruit over the next short period of time and next few years. We're rethinking how we, as said, that will have ripple effects into the effectiveness of our transportation system and what options and choices are available for families. So between this focus on academic excellence for everyone, the staffing and support for our educators who have been just through everything and back at this point, the facilities that desperately need improvements that can then unlock the potential and possibility for all of our young people, the extracurriculars, youth sports, and arts and wraparound supports that our young people need before and after school, and then social and emotional supports. We are there. The roadmap is set. We're putting all the pieces in place. It's going to take a bit of matching the level of and scale of what needs to be done, but we're up for the challenge and see the steps already starting to make a big difference for our schools.
Mary, can I ask you a quick follow-up? If enrollment is dropping, is there a way to save money through consolidation of schools?
So certainly, I think, when we see, at least on surface, that calculation, it's the combination of enrollment drop and then, increased inflation. I do think that this is something the mayor and I are working on as part of the Green New Deal, which is to, this assurance that we want our students in facilities for which they are going to get the quality education that we're committing to. And for that to happen, we do have some schools for whom the facility itself doesn't lend itself to that. So consolidation will be a part of this, mergers. We just had 2 school committee votes, one on the Sumner-Philbrick and the Shaw-Taylor, which is, I think an indicator of the process that we used, a healthy one this year, and that will be more to come. We have to look deeply to make sure that in our facilities condition report and our master facilities design that we will be doing for this spring, summer and next fall, that part of that is really identifying the buildings that we can make into the quality buildings that are going to give that 21st century education. That includes building new buildings. I mean, I said to the students in here how fortunate we are to have a mayor that's committed $2 billion in resource to this. And even over and above that, really working with us hand in hand, not just on building new buildings, but also making the buildings we have into ones that students deserve. So all of this will have impact both, I think, on enrollment in the sense of efficiency, but also, and importantly, it's going to be a place where our parents want to have their students come. To the mayor's point, that's our commitment, is to make the BPS the best school district in the nation. And by doing so, that's going to make sure that our parents feel safe, secure, that students coming here are going to get the top quality education that they deserve. And in the process, as they go through the Boston Public Schools, they will also have lots of opportunities for a career and in early college that they haven't previously had. A third of our graduates yesterday that were at the valedictorians lunch were students who started in kindergarten and went all the way through the 12th grade. Would love to be able to see that be 75% in the years to come.
I will defer to the superintendent on the technical details of what goes into making sure there's apples to apples comparisons just for the sake of accuracy. But I don't think that's the right metric to judge the success of our district or whether we're doing right by our young people. We need to put in whatever it takes to make this the best possible school district that we can be, the best possible urban school district in the country. I am committed to that. I have my kids in the schools. We are going to make it happen, and we're making progress towards that every single day. And I do want to push back on, sometimes people will say, well, don't you need to do consolidation in order to save costs? The cost piece of it should never be driving as the primary decision point what we're doing for the long-term future of our school district. It is about what will best serve our young people and how do we connect them with every opportunity. The truth is that we do have some very, very tiny schools where it will be sometimes one class per grade in a building, a small building, and you simply cannot sustain the level of opportunities that our young people deserve when it is so small, whether it is sports teams where they'll be able to fully field a whole team or other activities or supports, to have that the level of scale where everyone has what they need, and of course they have the individual supports, and we never want to get too far on the other side of it, but there is a sweet spot that we need to be moving towards so everyone has that access to everything that we think is necessary for our young people to thrive in their whole lives. Academics at the core of it, according to the vision of the superintendent, and then all of the other things that are also necessary for their health, their well-being, their family connections, their community connections, and also where they're seeing themselves progress in their careers, staying right here in the city of Boston.
Can I ask a question sort of related to this issue of small schools, and I imagine, Superintendent Skipper, that you agree about finding that sort of sweet spot of what our school sizes should look like. In the future, as BPS moves towards consolidation and full inclusion, what role do you see, for example, the exam schools fitting into this picture? I mean, they're just increasing in size. Obviously, they also bear a much smaller proportion of students with disabilities or multilingual learners. Will there be a need to, right-size those schools or have them, change their criteria so they're supporting, more of these students that, like schools like Charlestown High are currently supporting in far greater numbers?
So I think that's all things that we're looking at now. The percent of special education students at the exam schools does grow each year. I think what's most important is that we're working with each of the schools to understand how to fully support students with disabilities. Same with our multilingual learners. So that, both students and parents have choice. That's the reason for our visit today, because Charlestown High is very committed to doing that. And that's the work that as we go out to all the different high schools that we're working with now, we're trying to make them far more accessible. So the issue of accessibility will be one we'll continue to work on. There are also schools that have other kinds of themes, particular themes. It might be math and science, it could be the arts. And for those too, we're working on inclusion inclusion by really starting with Tier 1. When people think of inclusion, they immediately think of it's about students with disabilities. It's actually about all students. And it's really about strengthening general education classrooms and giving teachers new, like a scaffolding of new ideas and tools of how to reach each student in instruction that actually makes that classroom and transforms that classroom to be better. And that actually benefits certainly immediately special education students or multilingual learners, but it also benefits every student. And so that's really what's behind our inclusion and the historic agreement with our union as proud partners to work together in that Tier 1 strengthening. While we have you, I would love to just put a plug in to highlight all we have going on for the summer. The mayor and I, back in the spring, remained committed to making sure we were expanding seats for our summer programming, and historically 2,000 additional seats. So we have 17,000 seats for students. And that's a combination of programming that's being run in our schools with nonprofits, with community-based organizations. It's our exam school initiative. It is our extended year for our special education students. It is some of our multilingual learning programming. But really, and it's also our summer jobs on top of the 17,000. So this really is historic here. And you can help us to get the message out to families for registering. We've done a great job. We're well ahead of last year for the registration, but we would like to make sure every single one of those seats is actually filled, because we know for our students that every student that attends summer programming and is in session at least 3 days of the week, they come back more ready to learn, more wanting to learn, and more engaged. And that is really helping our students who traditionally have been, underserved, our Black and Brown students, our special ed, and our multilingual. So anything you can do to help get the word out for parents, there's lots of ways they can register, but they can go to our website, and they can go to the city website, and they'll be able to get plenty of information. Thank you.
And it's a wide variety of options, too.
It's fully inclusive. You can some are sports, some are crafts, some are music, arts, dance, athletics. It really ranges. If it's something you want to learn, there's likely a program for you. But part of this is helping to make sure that students hear about it, parents hear about it, and then they're able to register so that we can get those seats filled.
Yes, youth summer jobs too, 7,000 jobs.
How do you address concerns from some parents that I've heard, for example, who are eligible for low-income housing? They don't want their children to take some of these jobs because I guess they could surpass certain income limits, and there's that fear of losing those housing vouchers. Has this been brought up, to your office, either of your offices, and is there a fix in place so people don't feel so hesitant about signing their children up for these programs?
We are happy to work through any individual concerns for any single family. There are some students who want to both have a summer job and bring in that income and participate in more of an academic enrichment program. So we want to make the scheduling work. And again, there's just such a wide variety. But it was very important for us to be a city that offers one of the largest paid youth summer jobs programs anywhere in the country, including many placements directly with some of the premier employers in the country, because we hear very much that our young people, many of them even throughout the school year, are working, are bringing in income in their family, but we're happy to have those one-on-one conversations with anyone. And I think this is just a reminder. I'm so thrilled, and just there's no greater happiness than spending time in our schools with our young people. You get a sense of the value that families really are getting from the investments that we're making. All you have to do is step inside our school buildings. Every one of our high schools is offering something special, a career pathway, a particular connection to a major employer, and we're fighting to add to that set of partnerships every day. We invite anyone across the city who is interested in supporting our youth and young people and their families to please reach out. We will find a way for you to get involved and support, whether it is in a mentoring role, whether it is a larger commitment or partnership that we can form. This is really going to be the backbone of what Boston can offer in terms of how we make sure that each and every school, each and every seat and classroom is something special.
Is it fair to say that you don't think Boston's spending too much on schools? Like you're good with the number, are you asking the superintendent to look at the books, or are you okay with that?
We are under a number of auditing processes at any given moment, and we're still collaborating very closely with those who are independent sources of analysis to make sure that everything that we are doing is delivering the best value. Of course, I am not saying that there's any dismissing of the need to make sure that every dollar is stretched as much as it can, but just to say that we should be spending less for the sake of saving money does a disservice to not only the importance of young people and our school system in the larger conversation about who benefits from a healthy, thriving public education system, but we are also uniquely in a period of building and setting the foundation for what will be a real takeoff, I believe, for our school district. It's foundational issues that have been kicked down the road for a very long time that we are taking up now and digging into and making real progress on. And so I am happy to put whatever resources it takes to get us to that next level, because it will pay dividends for all of us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Good to see you.